What's up, boss babes? Adrienne Dione here, aka the Fundamentor, and I'm excited to be back with another episode of the Gold Mine Podcast. Guys, this one is a little bittersweet because this is our season finale. It's the last episode of the season, and I feel a way about it. My goal for this season was to talk to the person behind the business because a lot of times I feel like when it comes to business, we can get so consumed with like growth strategies and productivity and sales that a lot of times we forget about its greatest asset, which is you, which is me, right? And so I really wanted to create something where I talk to the person behind the business and we have conversations about things that aren't often highlighted, but that are still really important for our success. So we've talked about, how to really enjoy this journey of entrepreneurship, running a business with your spouse, paying yourself, managing emotions, dating and managing relationships. We talked about self-care, and not just like the regular schmegular self-care, but really out of the box strategies. We've talked about how to balance your personal and business life. We've talked about God being the CEO of our lives and us kind of like submitting to his plan. We've been talking about last week navigating a business as an introvert. So we talked about a lot of really good things. We had a lot of great guests on. And for anybody that's listening, I really just do appreciate your support. Every time you share the podcast, every time you told someone about the podcast, every review, all of it, I really, really do appreciate it. So I just hope that this season has really encouraged you to just keep going. I often say that like entrepreneurship is a calling, right? And I'm sure you all know that just because you are called, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easy, even when you're in God's will. And so I just want to say, please be encouraged. You are called to this. The world needs you. It needs the value that you bring. You are enough. You deserve great things to happen to you and for you. It's God's will for you to prosper. So never underestimate your gifts or dim your light. We really do need you. We really, really need you. So make sure you take care of yourself so that you can continue to pour out your gifts into the world. So the last thing that I want to talk about for this season is really just the importance of building relationships. I find myself saying all the time, like, whose life am I living right now? Because clearly this is a lot different from just a year ago, what my life looked like. And sometimes I'm just super overwhelmed by how full my life has become. And I really owe it to just the relationships that I've been able to cultivate and the people that God has just so strategically connected me to. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, you guys know that I talk about how I started therapy after my divorce. And it wasn't just so much about, me needing help with relationships romantically, but I just wanted help with relationships overall. Like even during the time during my divorce, I really didn't have people that I could talk to other than just like one other person. I really didn't have those relationships that I felt comfortable with being so vulnerable about something that was so hard and what I was going through. And, it was just a result of like, having friends around who was slight hating and, wanted me to do good, but not better than them. And, church hurt and just a bunch of all of that type of stuff. And so I had really surrounded myself with more and more people that were like that. And I didn't want that anymore, right? I didn't want to ever be in a hard place in my life and not have anybody I could talk to. And so I really just wanted to start therapy for just relationships in general. And I've told you guys about different books that I read and different resources that I use to be able to do that. But I feel like now I'm kind of starting to see, not kind of, I am seeing the fruit of the seeds that were planted during my healing journey and during therapy. And it just really has enhanced my life in every area, from my friendships that I have now to even my business, So today I just really wanted to talk about the power of networking and how connecting with people that share your values and interests can really change your life. I know that sometimes when we hear the word networking, it can have like this really negative energy around it. It's like, oh, I have to walk around, in a room with strangers and pass around my card and promote myself and have people ask me a million times, like, so what do you do? And just be around people who are fake and trying to one up everybody. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's me, but hopefully I'm not the only one who had these types of experiences. But it's just like this pressure that, okay, like in order for me to make this networking event successful, I have to be able to get some potential clients from this, and it just feels super competitive and like stuffy almost, And if you've thought about networking in this way, I get it, right? I totally get it. And I felt the same way. But hopefully by the end of this episode, I'll be able to help you have a different perspective around networking, and you'll be a lot more open to trying it and feeling more confident with the strategy that I'm going to give you today. So I'm not going to make this a very long episode. I'm going to jump right into it. And the first thing I want you to do is to forget everything you know about networking, okay? Forget all of the negative experiences you might have had, all the horror stories you've heard from other people. And I really want you to start thinking of networking as a tool to develop relationships. It's not a chore. It's not you trying to suck up to people or get clients or, put your foot in the door. It is literally a tool to develop relationships. That is the primary goal, nothing more, nothing less. And when you think of it like that, it already just has a lighter energy. Like there's no pressure to just meeting new people and connecting with, new people and learning about people and developing relationships. That's all networking needs to be. So I'm going to give you 3 networking tips that have really helped me develop relationships and kind of put myself out there. And remember, y'all, if you haven't listened to the last episode, I am an introvert. I feel like I'm socially awkward. I have social anxiety. And so if I can do this, so can you. So don't feel like this is too much for you. It is going to cause you to or require you to get out of your comfort zone. But listen, if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. So the first tip that I want to give you is to focus your effort on meeting people that share your interests and your passion. So what I mean by that is choose events that you're genuinely interested in. A lot of times we think that in order to, network in business, we have to go to the, business expo, or we have to go to some type of conference, a business conference, or we have to go to whatever it is that we think our ideal clients are going to be. And that is just not the case. Okay. I love business. I love talking about business when I'm at work. But listen, I literally told this guy, I stopped talking to him because I don't know if he knew or if he thought like, because I'm a business coach, that I wanted to talk about business all the time. But like literally all we would talk, like we would be on the phone and he would be like, so what do you think about, investing or, all this business stuff? And I'm like, I told him, I said, I talk about business all day long. And after I'm off work or in my leisure, I do not want to talk about business. And so I'm saying all of that to say a lot of times I'm not really interested in going to more business events when I'm outside of work. Like that's just, your girl's got a life and she has other interests. So I think it's important that you don't have to do that to consider yourself networking, right? Choose events that you're genuinely interested in, right? So for an example, I go to church at Social Dallas. Shout out to my church. I love it. And I'm in a connect group. So we meet every other week. And it's just a group of, you can do a co-ed or a girls group. I'm actually in two. And so in one of my connect groups, it's all girls. The interest is, church, it's religion, or not really religion, but Bible. It's a Bible interest. We go there, we talk about the Bible and our walk with God, right? But I've met so many great people, and I've literally met a client there. I've met just so many good people. There are a bunch of girls in the group who are starting their business, who know people who are starting a business. There are people in the group who've been like, hey, I know somebody that I think would be a really good person for you to meet, for you guys to collab, because they know what I do. They know about me and who I am and what I do and my interests. So they are connecting me with other people who they think, would be a good, a good collab or a good person for me to know, or somebody who I can help or may need my help, or, I may need their help. So you can meet people and clients even outside of business or where you think your ideal client is. So just go to events that you're genuinely interested in. And through that, people are multidimensional. So yes, they may have an interest in the Bible, but they also have lives outside of that and other interests. And they also have a network of people. And that's a beautiful thing about networking, right? You're not just meeting people, but through your connection, you're now in connection with their network, right? So that's just the power of networking. And I can't even tell you. I'll give you another example. I met a girl on the podcast, actually. Shout out to Shauna. Shauna was on the podcast. She's an accountant, and I met her on social media. We hit it off really good. And that weekend, that after we recorded the podcast, she was actually going to be in Dallas for a wedding. And so she was like, if you're open to it, let's meet up. We met up, spent the day together. We co-worked together, had an amazing time. And she was like, I actually have a friend that just moved here, and I would love it if you guys would meet. I think you guys would be great together. And homegirl is also very dope. But in the mix of me meeting her, I also learned that she's starting some new ventures and wanted my help in helping her with that. So some of the services that I provide, I'm able to help her. And that's like a whole client, right? So just know that you don't have to step outside the box. That's the main thing here. Go to events that you're genuinely interested in, and that will really help you to open up and just not feel so pressured to try to find clients, right? Just be interested. You'll meet people who share some of the same things that you like to do. And through that, you can connect and build relationships like that. The second tip is to make providing value your top priority. Now, I know that in the traditional sense, people tell you like, go to events and make it a goal of, to pass out 10 cards to, people, or meet 5, people and pass out your cards, or tell them about what you do and who you serve and all of that, right? But I want you to kind of just throw all of that away. And instead, I want you to make it a goal to go and provide value to a certain amount of people. Whatever your goal is, make that your goal, and really approach it as Like, how can I help someone? How can I be generous to these people? Be interested in other people. I tell you one thing, a lot of people are like, I don't really know how to start conversations. I'm gonna tell you the secret. Talk to people about them. Be interested in them. When you start asking people questions about them, I mean, something as simple as like, oh my gosh, I love your dress. I love your style. I love your look. It just gives such a good energy. Where do you shop from? Where do some of the people love to talk about themselves, child? Okay. And people love to feel like, wow, someone's interested in me, and do it genuinely. Don't be like, okay, I know this woman looks a fool, but I'm about to go ask her who did her hair. Like, don't do that, right? Just genuinely be yourself and be interested in other people. People love to talk about themselves. It's a great conversation starter, and you just let the conversation go to however, wherever it goes, right? I remember when I first started like meeting people, I actually the first time I met up with somebody was off Bumble, right? And not dating Bumble. Bumble has like a friendship, a friends Bumble, whatever you call it. But anyway, I was just on there and I was like, I want to meet people in Dallas and stuff like that. And so I remember having a therapy session before my first meetup with a girl. And she was like, what's your goal? What's your goal? Whatever. And I'm just like, I'm hoping it is not awkward or weird. And, I don't want to meet somebody that's crazy. I don't remember what I said, but she was like, how about you just go, make it a goal of being present. You going, you've already won, right? You're stepping out of your comfort zone. Be there and be present. Be a safe space. Listen to other people, right? And so it just took so much pressure off, because I'm like, I was going in there like, the minute she say something crazy, I'm out of here. I don't have time for drama, like all of that. But it was more so about like, just be open and listen. Like, so just go and be interested in other people. Like, if you do ask the question, what do you do? Like, I really hate that question. But that's why I say go to things that you're actually interested in, because you can meet people around a specific interest or a specific topic. Like, if you go to a painting class, you can, the focus is painting. So it's not like, so what do you do for business and who do you help? And, how much money did you make last year? Right. But be interested in other people. Really go in with saying, how can I provide value to 5 people today? And so when it comes to like providing value, how do you provide value, right? By giving helpful advice, introducing people to another person, introducing them to someone, guiding or assisting them with their endeavors. So what I mean by like giving helpful advice, right? So if someone's telling me, for instance, I remember in the Connect group, we were talking and we followed each other on Instagram or something like that. And I was looking at her story and I saw she had like, she was promoting something. And I was like, hey, like, do you have a link for this? And she was like, oh, I posted the link. And I was like, I think she had gotten it off Amazon. And I was like, you need affiliate links. Like, you should apply for the influencer program or something like that, whatever the case may be. But that was giving helpful advice. And she was like, I don't know how to do it. So I showed her how to do it, or I sent her the link, or whatever the case may be. But that's providing values to someone, right? Introducing them to another person. So there's been plenty of times where it's like, oh, you're interested in that, or you do that. I know someone who can help you, or somebody who's looking for that service. Let me send you their social profile, or let me introduce you to somebody else, whatever the case may be. They may say something as simple as like, yeah, like I do my own hair because, I haven't really found anybody. Oh, well, let me introduce you to my hairstylist or whatever. So just look for ways to provide value. guiding and assisting them with their endeavors. So, for example, I went to a networking event where it was a content creator creation day, right? So shout out to Dallas Social Butterflies founder Rosa. She's really cool, great energy. But she hosted an event where basically went to the studio and everybody just kind of, it was a bunch of content creators and we just took pictures. So side note, to tell you a little bit about why I was there, because I'm not a content creator per se, but I really do want to get better at like taking pictures. So that's an interest of mine. I feel like I'm horrible with taking pictures and I always feel really awkward. And I just want to get better with like creating content. So I've been putting myself in rooms. I really feel like the opportunities have been coming from to me actually. But I've been open to them and I've been going or whatever. And so when we got there were some photographers there, but not everybody, some people had their tripods, but some people didn't. And so I was like, how can I provide value? Let me help someone else take pictures and get that shot that they were looking for, so just helping other people with things that they're, pursuing. So sometimes we can be so in our head about like, how can I get ahead? How can I, make things happen for me? But we really need to get outside of ourselves and think about how can we help others? And by doing that, that creates opportunities for ourselves. People will never forget, how you make them feel. And once you make them feel good or you assist them and help them to get to their goals, people will never forget that. And they will definitely look out for you. And then the last tip that I want to talk about is being intentional about cultivating the relationships that you make. So when you think about relationships, what are the important factors that you have to remember to create like healthy relationships, right? Healthy relationships take time. They require you to be authentic. They require good communication, right? Communication is key. You have to be open. You have to have, honesty. You have to have boundaries, right? All of these things are important when you're creating healthy relationships. And that's the same way I want you to think about networking, right? You don't have to force anything, but you do need to make time for these relationships that you are building, right? Because to be honest, as adults, it can be easy for you to, think about somebody and put it off, reaching out to them. Or you may meet someone at an event, 2 weeks can go by. You like, man, I haven't reached out to them. I kind of feel weird now reaching out to them because I haven't talked to them in months, and, you don't want to just be a weirdo. So in order to, really build relationships, you have to make time for them. You have to be intentional about it. So some of the ways that I do this is that when I'm talking to people and I feel like, wow, this person is a great person, I'm hearing about different things that they're doing or they're saying or they're telling me about different interests that they have, I literally take notes. So for everybody that is blessed and favored by God who has an iPhone, once you go into your contacts, you can actually add notes. Now, I'm gonna tell you how I learned this, right? I don't know, maybe I'm the only person that didn't know this, but I wasn't dating him. I was dating this guy, we'll say dating. I'm telling too much of my business. But anyway, he basically had notes on me, right? We were talking one day and I was like, how do you remember that? And he was like, oh, I write down notes. And I'm like, so do you write down notes on everybody that you date or whatever? And we just laughed about it. But, and so now like, that's what I do too. Like if I'm dating multiple people, child, it's easy to get things mixed up. So you have to take notes, right? So there's a note section under the person's contact and you can just write notes down. Like if I meet somebody new, right? And they tell me, just in conversation, like their birthday is the next month, like, oh, I'll be out of town because I'm celebrating my birthday or whatever. I'm like, oh, when's your birthday? And they'll tell me the date. I will literally write it down in my notes so that on their birthday, like how cool would that be? Somebody that you just met, maybe you're not following them on social media yet, but on your birthday, you get a text message to them. That makes you stand out. That makes that person stands out like, wow, this person remembered my birthday, right? So you have to be intentional. Things that they say they like or they're interested in. Maybe, somebody says like, oh, I love to golf or something like that. I'm into golfing or something like that. Maybe as you see an event in passing or something like that, you can remember that or whatever. And you'll say like, hey, such and such is having an event. Would you like to go? I know, this is an interest of theirs. You have to be intentional. So take notes about things that they say when you catch up with them. Maybe they have kids and they say their name, right? You can write down in the notes their kids' names. And so, when you meet up with them and you're having lunch, how's Brandon? And they're like, oh, this person remembered my kid's name, right? You want to do things like that to stand out so that, when you're cultivating the relationships, like it's genuine and it's a deeper connection rather than just passing your number or your card out and, oh, I'm a business coach. Oh, you are an accountant. And so maybe I need something. I'm going to reach out to you and ask you for something. That person it's almost like a cold call. People aren't going to be willing to do things for you when you haven't cultivated a relationship. So make sure you take notes so that you stand out and you can create deeper connections. When somebody sees you trying like that and you're putting in effort like this, they will do the same, right? They will do the same thing for you. So take notes. Another thing that I do is I create opportunities to connect, right? I'm not waiting on the other person to say, hey, let's go out to dinner or whatever the case may be. I usually try 2 or 3 times, 3 minimum, to try to create an opportunity to connect. So I'll ask them out for lunch or ask them to dinner or, ask them to an event or whatever the case may be. I'm the person that's gonna take initiative to create opportunities to connect. And if they do it before me, that's fine. But you have to make time for these relationships. And then the third thing is just don't take things personally, right? We're adults, y'all, and you never know what someone's life is like, the time they have available to do things. So if you do reach out and they say no, like, don't take it personal, try again. Don't just be so ready to be like, well, I asked her 2 times and she said no, and I ain't got time. I ain't about to beg nobody, blase. Like, trust the energy. If you feel like you had a good time, they had a good time, and they decline or they're not able to come to stuff that you invite them to, don't take it personally. You never know how people are struggling, or they may not have the money, or they may not have the time, whatever the case may be, just don't take it personally. And then the last tip is just to be open, you guys. We have to be open to new relationships. If you're going into relationships just like, well, I don't want to get close to people because such and such hurt me, or, girls are jealous, or whatever the case may be, you're going in like with this, certain mentality, and that's how you're going to show up. Your energy is going to be all the way off. People are going to be able to pick up on that because that's just, your energy is just off. So you have to be open. You can't go in thinking that somebody's out to get you or they just want things from you, because at the end of the day, we all want connection. We all want to belong. We all want really good friendships. And, you have to be open to them in order to receive that, right? One of the biggest things that I've learned this year is that you don't get back what you do for other people. And I think that we grew up learning that, like, I just want people to treat me, how I treat them. If I'm treating them good, I just want them to treat me good. You get back how you treat yourself. If you are continuously running into people who aren't treating you well, or, have, no boundaries or, however they are, you continue to keep getting the same thing, you have to look inward, right? Because we're really attracting all of the experiences into our lives. And so that was literally my experience when I was experiencing all these relationships where people were not being genuine. It was because I wasn't being genuine to myself, right? I was trying to change myself so that other people would like me. And that was attracting other people who weren't real. They were fake. They weren't authentic. And so when I started really honoring who I was and not dimming myself down and being the best version of myself, I started attracting other people who were also, promoting themselves, confident, not afraid to hype other people up because, they believed in themselves. They love themselves. And so you have to be the type of person to yourself that you want others around you to be, right? So be open, let go of all of the past hurts and things that happen to you, and just go out into the world looking for great things and great connections. Your network really is your network. The people and connections that I've made have really just helped me to grow so much. Like, it's mind-boggling how much I've grown, and it's just really been because of the people that are in my life and the connections that I've made. So if nothing else, remember that relationship building is a very, very important priority, or should be a very important priority for you. It really does affect the way you experience life. So make it a priority. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me this season. As soon as I know when the next season is coming, I'm going to let y'all know. Until then, definitely go back, check out some of the old episodes. Keep writing reviews if you're enjoying the podcast. And even though we're taking a little break from the podcast, I will definitely be on social media still, on Instagram, Facebook, my Facebook group. I'll still be on YouTube. So let's connect there. I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your week. And until next time, I love you guys. Be safe and take care of you.